today it's not going to be necessarily ASMR, but you might get some intentional, unintentional ASMR, just to let you know ahead of time. If you're clicking this video and you've never watched my channel, I do ASMR normally, but this was a heavily requested video, so I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I apologize in advance if I seem like kind of tense or out of breath. I wouldn't necessarily say this is like an uncomfortable topic for me, but like I've tried recording this multiple times and wow, it's like kind of difficult. So, I apologize for that, as well as my furnace is probably going to kick on at any minute. So I apologize if you hear my furnace. It's not crazy loud, but it is there obviously in the background. So yeah, we're gonna be talking about like my transition and like how I got here to this specific point in my life, what I'm planning on doing, and kind of just all the in-between and all that jazz. So so yeah, I didn't really know what being trans was. I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't even know like being gay or like a lesbian was a thing either, and like all the in-between of that is. And my first like necessarily interaction with all that is when my best friend, she came out as bisexual because she over the summer like had started dating this girl, or I don't know, they weren't necessarily dating, but they were definitely talking and they both liked each other. And that was like very much new to me. This was like in 7th grade, okay? And I was just like gobsmacked. I didn't know you could do that. And I personally had always known that I found women attractive, but I never like would have thought that it would have been okay to like date them or be with them, because that's just not something you do. Because I was raised in the Bible Belt area, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with, you know, being Christian or anything. It's just like with those types of beliefs, like you don't even speak of that stuff, you know what I mean? And so I was like really shocked by that, and it was like a huge eye-opener for me. And then one of my friends, not that year but the next year, came out as trans, and I didn't know what being trans meant, so she explained it to me, that she wanted to be called a different name, and she was no longer she used a he. I'm using she her because they still go by she her now. They didn't necessarily detransition, they just realized that they experienced dysphoria, but they are not gonna medically or socially transition into being a man, which is a-okay. Like I said, this is my transition, so not everybody does their transition the same, all that stuff. So she kind of gave me the breakdown of like what it meant to be trans, like why people transition, and like also kind of gave me a little bit insight of like what medically trans people do, and that like blew my mind. Like I was just like, oh my god, like that is so cool. And I had recently, you know, realized I liked women, so I came out actually as a lesbian because I never dated a guy before. I didn't really ever have an interest in dating a guy. And so I was just like, oh, that makes sense. Like I'm just a lesbian. Like I like girls. And then when my friend came out as trans, and I always thought that like I was self-conscious because I was fat. Still am fat, obviously. But I always thought that like I felt really bad about myself and disliked myself because I was fat. And when she was describing to me what like dysphoria is and like why some people transition, it kind of clicked really good for me. Like this is what I'm feeling, and that's what I should do. And I thought about it for a really long time before I said anything. It was like the end of that year, like summertime, I remember, to where I was like, I think that I'm trans and I want to go by a different name. And they were like all for it, and they were very supportive. My friends were. And I started going by Max, which is the name I go by now. I do think that I went by a different name for a short period of time. I don't remember it. I know it probably started with the same first letter as my dead name, but because I originally wanted to find a way to masculinize my dead name, but my dead name isn't really, I've never met somebody with the same name before. And I'm not going to tell you my dead name just because personally Like, if you know it, congrats, like, good for you. I just don't feel like there's any need for new people who have never met me before to know it personally. I do still have to use it like for medical stuff, like to pick up my testosterone and things like that, just because I was born in a different state that I live in, so I'm waiting on my birth certificate. But anyways, I couldn't find like a masculine version of that name, so then I tried to find like a masculine name with the same first letter, but I didn't really like any of those. So I think I literally just Googled boys' names, and I think Max was one that I really liked, so I started going by Max, and now my name is legally Max. So, because I did legally change that in February of last year, so almost a full year it's been changed, and I still haven't gotten like an updated ID or anything because of how slow the government takes it with this stuff. But I officially came out in like 8th grade, and boy, people did not like that. I didn't tell my parents at first because I was really nervous, because I did try to tell my mom, and my mom literally sat me down and was like, are you sure it's not because you're insecure about your own weight? Because I was like bigger than I was like than I am now. I was almost like 300 pounds in like middle school, and that made me feel awful, and actually like made me rethink of everything. I was like, well, maybe it is, you know, like why would my parents steer me wrong? And like now I know, like if I even told my mom like that I was upset with her that she said that to me as a kid, she would tell me that I made that up or like dreamt about it, because she would never say that. Because if, I don't know how your guys' parents are, but my parents are very like, if they don't remember, it didn't happen. So so that like really made me nervous. So then for a while it was only like my best of friends knew, and my then girlfriend at the time, and eventually I was kind of sick of like just my best friends knowing, and so I started having teachers call me Max, and I was very open on why I wanted to be called Max. And then I started getting like literal death threats as an 8th grader. And if you don't know, 8th graders are like what, like 13 or 14, you know? And I started getting like death threats, like I was gonna get curb stomped by students, and I actually had teachers like try and like give me like after school detentions for literally no reason, and like a bunch of weird shit. And it got to a point that someone I thought was my best friend, those are my guinea pigs in the background who are fighting currently, someone who I thought was my best friend actually outed me to my dad, and I never tried telling my dad that I was anything than what he thought I was, because I knew he wouldn't take it well. And I remember coming home that day to my dad's house because my parents were divorced, and he cornered me and screamed at me. He called me like an abomination, and told me he was going to get me medicated, you know, fix me, and he was gonna we were gonna do conversion therapy, which I did end up doing. I did like 2-3 rounds of it. It was not fun, I can tell you that, but you know, thankfully I didn't I never faltered on what I believed was right, which was myself. I'm gonna listen to what my body and my mind tells me that I need to do for myself to keep myself alive. You know, if you guys don't know, dysphoria can make you kill yourself. It's a heavy topic, which is another reason I've been procrastinating on it. Like, I was straight up very suicidal at like 12 and 13, and I never knew why. And I thought, you know, maybe it's because I was fat. And personally, I think there's nothing wrong with being fat. I don't hate myself as much as I did when I was younger. And I just like, I wanted to die all the time. And when I realized that maybe it's because I was trans and that I needed to medically kind of correct things to feel better about myself, it did make me feel better. It was like this sense of like relief, you know? And yeah, I went to conversion therapy. And I was told that like I was doing it because I was bored. I was told that. I was told that it was because I was fat and I didn't get enough attention from men, so I was doing this to get more attention from men. I was then told that one of the pastors there would openly show me what it's like to be with a man. I never got clarification on what that had meant, but I'm sure from your own imagination you can imagine what a 14-year-old was terrified of what that had meant. And that was just not an enjoyable experience at all. And my mom tried to get CPS involved so I wouldn't have to go through it, but CPS didn't care, like wouldn't let her like try and get emergency custody or anything, because like they legally had like split custody or something. So I had to go through that when he said I had to. And it was a really awful time for myself. So after that had happened, I actually went back in the closet. So only like my best of best friends knew, not even my own mother knew about anything. And so like the only people that ever knew that I was transitioning and that I was a trans man was my best friends and like anybody I ever dated, which was always girls. Like I obviously am not a lesbian now. I'd be categorized as like a straight man, but ever since I started testosterone, I've also kind of recently, I don't want to say never had an attraction to men, but it just wasn't like something I ever really looked into. But I do say now I'm bisexual because I don't know, like I could date a guy. Probably won't, but I don't want to say like I would never type thing. But yeah, so for all my middle school and like junior high and then like my high school experience, I was closeted until my senior year. And during my senior year, I made a really big post and I was like, many of you may remember, many of you may not remember, but I am a trans man. I am medically transitioning. I had like my doctor's appointment like scheduled to get on my testosterone. And I was just like, if you respect that and cool, we can be on good terms. If not, I respect that and we don't have to talk. We don't have to be best friends. And I was really disappointed because there were some people who definitely I thought were good friends of mine and were obviously not. Gave me some shit or just like blocked me immediately, like nothing, which hurt really bad. But, you know, that's your viewpoint and I'm not mad at that, but it was just kind of sucky, you know, to think that you knew somebody and you don't. And I had some people again like threaten that same stuff as well as to my friend who was gay, like to curb stomp us and murder us and shit like that. To which, no, you aren't. Excuse me, I'm recovering from COVID right now, but it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, and the school wouldn't do anything about it. The school doesn't care. Again, conservative area. So I came out my senior year, and so in the yearbook I would be referred to as correctly, like as a man, like my pronouns. And I wore a men's gown because we do gendered gowns when we graduate. And they reached out to me personally and were like, do you want a men's gown? And I was like, yeah, I do want a men's gown. So that was super good. And my diploma is in Max. My name is Max on my diploma, even though it's still technically not legally changed. The person doing that for my school was very accommodating for me, and I appreciate that a lot. I really do. She did not have to be so kind to do that, and she did. She reached out and she made sure everything was going to work out. So I got to do that. Funness. I got some good congratulations and I got some mean comments and stares. My dad was at my graduation. I could tell he was not very pleased with me. I texted him like I think literally the night before that I was wearing a men's gown and that they would be saying Max when they announced me to walk up. And he didn't ever respond. He just showed up. So I don't necessarily have a relationship with my dad. We talk when it's necessary, more as same with my mom at this point. I actually figured at this point in my life I'd be no contact with either of my parents, but I do still talk with her. And I started my testosterone in August, so that was when I first, started my medical transition. I'm still on 1%. I currently take the gel. I just got this refilled. Okay, sorry. I'm editing this and I realized that I didn't talk about like changes I've seen on my testosterone because it's almost 6 months. 6 or 5. So some changes that I've personally seen is fat redistribution. So like my chest has gotten smaller. My stomach, I would say, feels like it's gotten smaller. Like, because I like wearing my pants high-waisted and I have to like make my belt smaller almost I feel like every couple of days, so that's been nice. Let's see. Body hair, no joke. I felt like I was a hairy person before, but like you get some hair. I have facial hair, you just can't really see it. You can definitely feel it. I have hair all over. My hair's gotten darker. I used to be, oh, my friend is calling me, 1 second. That was a very informational call. She called me to tell me about the dream she had. So, anyways, my body hair has gotten darker. My overall hair has also gotten darker. I used to be very light blonde, and now it's kind of like a brownish blonde, dirty blonde type thing. Voice has obviously gotten deeper. I feel like I've already said that. I'm trying to think of, oh, and I sweat so much more. I'm hot all the time normally. I'm really cold right now, but I'm normally really hot. Like I sweat a lot, which is why I've been breaking out so much, because I never used to sweat before, really, because as a girly girl, girls don't sweat. But that's not funny. But yeah, I break out now because I'm greasy all the time because I sweat so much. I feel like that's all the changes I've really had. Bottom growth, I'm sure will happen. I haven't had any as of yet. I think my dosage has to be upped for that to go on. I still have menstrual cycles here and there. They're very short, but they are also very painful when I do have them, unfortunately. I figured they would be gone by now. I haven't had this month's yet, and it's pretty late into the month, so maybe be positive about it, but who knows. But yeah, that's all I can think of. I'll probably be back. Probably forgot to say something about something, so who knows, you might see editing me again, but and so here's some questions that I normally get on my videos. Did I know when I was a little kid? Not really, because again, I didn't know like what that stuff was, but I will say that there was a moment that I do remember as a little kid, is when I first started puberty. I started puberty really young as a kid, like 9 years old, and I asked my mom when I was gonna like grow a penis, and my mom was like, what the fuck, like, no, you're not going to. And I cried about it because apparently a 9-year-old me thought that was like necessary to have. But again, I don't think that was necessarily a trans thing. I think that was more of like a I did not have any sexual anatomy education in the slightest because I grew up in the Bible Belt. So you know, I had no idea what any of that was and how it worked, obviously, especially as a 9-year-old. So I don't even know why I was asking my mom that question, but I do think it's funny because that's actually a question that you're asked when you go in to get on like hormones, is like, oh, did you ever have like any instances where you knew? And my mom was like, I don't think, because my mom went to me for this appointment and she was like, I don't think you did anything. I was like, do you not remember when I literally asked you? So I think that's a little funny. How do you make yourself feel better when you were dysphoric? So I don't think I gave a definition. So if you don't know what dysphoric means, I'll look at see what Google says. But basically how I describe dysphoria is it's just like something that makes you feel inferior to what you identify as, if that makes sense. Let's see. Dysphoria. No, that's not it. I can't spell. is a profound state of unease and dissatisfaction. So there's different types of dysphoria, but what we're talking about is gender dysphoria. So basically something that would make me feel inherently feminine instead of masculine, like manly, because that's what I'm going for, obviously. There's a lot of different stuff that I do, but most of it is bundle up, kind of like how I'm bundled up right now. I do have a chest, a relatively good-sized chest, and I am planning on hopefully getting that removed soon. But, you know, there's only so much you can do to kind of get rid of that. So that's by kind of wearing bulky clothing, and like layers, and also I'm not currently wearing it because I was like just in bed, but like having a binder. So this is my own personal binder. It looks kind of just like a weird looking sports bra because that's kind of what it is. It's just a compression sports bra, really. I wear a size 3X. I would say my bust is like a B or a C cup now. They used to be like double D, but because I started testosterone and I also started working out and kind of losing weight, my chest has shrunk quite a bit, which I'm thankful for. But this helps really flatten my chest, so I feel less dysphoric about my chest and all that. I would put it on, but again, like I'm probably gonna lay down after I finish filming this, so there's no point putting it on. But they can be uncomfortable after a while. Like, I love wearing that, but I would say that I am built very well to transition, just because I am a very wide set human being, and most binders, like, no, not most, all binders are meant to fit like female bodies, and because I'm more wider than the normal woman, I don't fit into binders very well. They almost always, like, they're too loose in some areas and too tight in others. Like, I feel like they're very loose on my chest actually, but very tight on my shoulders because I have big muscular shoulders, because I work out my arms a lot, because that's something that makes me feel good about myself, is having big muscular arms. Not that my arms are muscular, but my shoulders are. So do that. I also put on more clothes. I love wearing cologne. It does make me feel more masculine. I don't know, I can't really think of something I like specifically do. It just kind of depends on like what it is, because there's some things that you can't get rid of, obviously, kind of can't hide. Oh, and I guess Packers would be one of them as well, if you have bottom dysphoria, which I do have. I'm having a Packer delivered today, and I might do a review video because I kind of want this to be separate so anyone can view it. Because the Packer video will definitely be like an 18+ thing, but because it's a fake rubber penis, so it's not a dildo, but you can use those as Packers. But yeah. Are you gonna get top surgery? Hopefully. I'm hoping for this year. I just don't know how possible that is. They like you to be on testosterone for about a year, which my year will be in August. But with the way COVID and things are going in America, because I live in America, I don't know if it's going to be possible. One of my friends, his surgery actually just got canceled because of COVID. Like, they are not letting any technical cosmetic surgeries go through in certain areas because it is so, like, transport to and from the hospital, like, you're gonna catch it. And I just had COVID, so I don't know. I'm hoping this year, though. What are your pronouns? So my pronouns are he, him. Most trans men do go by he, him. Some do not, obviously. It's a huge spectrum, honestly, of like what you want to do and things like that. Like, there are trans men who don't even go by he, him at all. So like, I do appreciate people asking me that, but at the same time, it like it's, I don't know, it's hard for me to remember that not every trans person goes by he, him. Because like, part of me is like, oh my god, do I not pass that good? But then I just remember people are just, they're just trying to be respectful, and so I have to remind myself of that sometimes. Do you get misgender a lot? Yes, I do. I work retail, and I also work in a female dominated area in retail, which is like the apparel section. And so, yeah, I do get mammed a lot. I also know how I look. Like, you guys just see this part of me. Um, yeah, and I see why. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I do think I'm a very masculine presenting person, but I also get it. Like, I was raised to be very respectful. So sir and ma'am is something that I always say. And when you say sir and ma'am, you have to assume, and so people are just assuming to be respectful. And I have to remind myself sometimes, because it's hard. It definitely is hard to be referred to something that you're not, and you're working so hard to not be referred to and look that way. And then for people who are just trying to be nice to you and being respectful to you to accidentally do that, because like they don't know any better. So yeah, I do get misgendered quite a bit. I'm hoping that some weight loss will help that. I do have a very feminine figure, um, so overall, and that's hard, and it's hard to hear and kind of swallow that, because my mom is very blunt, to say the least, and so she, like whenever she gets it wrong, she very much just kind of goes, well, you look like one, and it hurts, hurts my feelings quite a bit. Um, so, um, how did your family take it? So when I did officially come out my senior year, I also told my family. Um, they were all relatively pretty quick to try and start referring to me as Max, which I do appreciate. It's hard for them, and I know that. It's easier for them to do it when, I'm gonna close my MacBook because I keep looking at it. It's easier for them to do it when I'm there, I think, because when they're alone, I can tell that they don't necessarily focus on that as much. But I know that they do try. That's more on my mom's side of the family. I did not know how my aunt on my mom's side of the family was going to take it. So I was very nervous about that, because I love my cousins, and I was like really nervous that I might not be able to see my cousins as much, but it's been great. So my dad's side of the family somewhat knows. I figured once I came out, he would tell the other side of the family, and I wouldn't really get to talk to them much, because much like my dad, they all have that very same thought process. So I was a little nervous about that. But when I went to make my birthday cake with my grandmother, I actually asked her if she knew, and she said she didn't, and I told her and my grandpa, and we still made my cake, and we kind of talked about it. She said that she wanted me to wait till I was older, but I told her, like, I don't think I can wait. It's hard to live like this, to imagine like living in a body that just you can't look at sometimes. It's hard. And she said that she understood, and or as much as she can, and she loves me, and she'll love me no matter what. And I was a little shocked by that, to be honest, because my dad took it so badly, so I figured his mom would. But I knew my grandpa wouldn't. He loves me to death. So I think people are pretty quick to refer to me as Max easily. I think it's more of the gender aspect of it. So I think once I start passing better, like with my voice dropping, now this is a lot deeper than my voice used to be. I sound like literally like Britney Spears high singing, like her singing voice high. Like that's how I sounded talking, for the most part. And so I think that's hard for them to kind of come to that, especially with my grandparents who I live with. I just recently got out of a relationship, but I would bring her home, and I remember he'd be like, my grandpa, I interrupted their conversation. They're like, well, they're just like, two girls. It's nothing serious. I'm like, no, it's not just two girls, but it's hard for them to kind of get there. You know what I mean? But I appreciate them even trying. I was really nervous that I wasn't gonna be able to talk to them, because that was that was even harder to think about swallowing than telling them in the first place. But I think everybody took it relatively pretty well, except for my dad, obviously, who I've never really had a sit down with. My mom wants me to have a sit down with him, which I think is fucking ridiculous. Like, he literally made me do conversion therapy and wanted me to get on medication. Like, there's no sit down to be had. Like, I know his view on it, and we're just never gonna, like, he literally cornered my little brother recently and was like, you know, doesn't, you know, your sister, like, transitioning doesn't have any effect on you. And my brother couldn't care fucking less. Like, he's super excited for me. He was actually the first family member I told. I told him, like, crying. I was like, I love you to death. Like, I don't want you to see me any less. Like, I need to do this for myself. And he's like, I love you no matter what. And he's like, I want you to be my brother. Like, it was really sweet. Because we had a, like, night out and, like, we went shopping. It was really fun. But, so, like, I know how my brother really feels, but, like, he was like, Dad, like, stop, like, it's not funny, you know, I don't care. And, like, my dad literally wouldn't stop talking about me to him till he said that he does actually have a problem with it and it affects him. And he really, my brother took me aside and was like, I just want you to know that happened. And I said that, but I don't mean it, because I just want him to leave me alone. So, again, it's really just my dad. So that doesn't necessarily do well with it. I would say my mom also doesn't do well with it, but in a different way, if that makes sense. So, but I'm very happy to have the support that I do have. Happy that nothing ever escalated to a point that I really was in danger. I did feel like I was in danger in some situations, but I knew that I'd be safe and okay. So I don't know. I can't think of anything else. I am planning on getting top surgery. I'm planning on getting a full hysterectomy. I have been told I should probably look into saving eggs to, like, eventually have kids, but I am not really interested in having children at all. I think, okay, personally, I just feel like at this point, with how the world is looking and what little we are doing to protect it, it's a little unethical to have children. Personally, there's nothing wrong if somebody else wants to do that. I just feel like I would feel uneasy bringing up a kid in this type of climate of the world currently. So I don't think I'm gonna look into saving eggs or anything. You know, maybe my mind will change. Maybe the world will get better, and I'll have kids one day. But as I'm seeing it right now, I'm not planning on ever having my own physical child either. I don't think I would be able to do pregnancy very well. There are plenty of trans men who do pregnancies, and I think that's awesome that they can handle that. I don't think I would be able to mentally or physically. Anyone who does pregnancy, kudos to you, like, seriously. I'm planning on getting bottom surgery. Most likely I will get a metaplasty. And a metaplasty is they up your testosterone dosage to the point that you get a good amount of bottom growth. If you don't know what bottom growth is, when you're born a woman, you have, you know, a vagina, obviously, but you have a clitoris. And then when you're born a man, you have a penis, which, if, like, you can literally, like, okay, this is so gross. I'm sorry if this is, like, TMI, but, like, if you've ever looked at a guy's genitalia and you see, like, a line, that's, like, where their vagina was, and it closed up and it made their male genitalia, right? Because you start as a girl, and then you develop into a man in the womb, if that's how your chromosomes decide to line up. But anyways, so basically what it does is it grows what you naturally have into big, like, it being, like, lengthier, and then they will do surgery to move your your urinary tract, and that has a higher success rate doing that. And then get a phalloplasty, which means that you can use it for, like, penetrative sex and, like, be sexually active with it. Because I'm sure there's people who have done the menoplasty and can have penetrative and, like, be physical with it, but most people it's not that much, but you have a higher success rate of using your urinary tract with it if you get a metaplasty first, from what I've been reading now. Who knows, by the time I get bottom surgery it could be so perfected that I don't have to worry about it, but for now that's probably what I'll end up doing. I don't really have any shame in talking about that. I think it's a really cool process, and I'm excited to eventually go through that. Excuse my snot that I'm sucking up. Trying to think of anything else. Like, I think that's really about it. But again, if you guys are interested in me talking about like packers and stuff, or like reviewing the packer that I'm getting in today, it's out for delivery right now. I'm really excited. It was like $200. It's a $200 packer. So I'm really nervous and excited. Like, I'm scared it's not gonna be good. It's like painted to like match your skin tone, and it's hyper realistic. I don't know if I'll show it or not, but I just might make a video talking about it. But packer is supposed to like also make it physically look like you have a penis, like help you with like a bulge in your pants, because you know, like that's just how men look naturally when they wear pants. Not like anyone looks like crazy much, I don't know, but like that's a thing that people do when they have bottom dysphoria, is they wear packers out, and then you can also use them to pee, so like standing up and stuff, which is really cool, and what I'm gonna use mine for mainly. And with this one you can also use it to have sex with, so yeah. I don't know, I feel like there's like a really big part that I'm missing. So again, if you guys have like any more questions or something like that, I will answer them in the comments, or I'll maybe just do another video and like answer some more questions. I'm almost at 1,000 subscribers, so thank you. When I hit 1,000 subscribers, I will do a general Q&A, so maybe if that kind of coincides with the timing of this video being out, I can just add those to the Q&A. Oh, you know what? I haven't done my daily testosterone. I will do my testosterone. So, this is my testosterone. This is, like a brand that I've never had used before, because I got my testosterone originally from a different pharmacy, but they were awful. Let's just be real, they were awful. So, I now get this brand, and the awful thing about this is you can't actually rip them because it doesn't open them. You have to use scissors. So I just push it to the back and I cut them. And then I put it on. Go ahead and cut the other one and I'll put them on. I'm gonna take off my jacket. It's so cold in here, you guys. But I'm just trying to think of like any questions that I like normally get. Okay, that's a question I get a lot. So if a person, okay, so like mainly the question is like what my sexuality is and like what somebody else's sexuality is if they date me. So again, I'm bisexual. Like I date men and women. I have a heavy preference towards women. That's why I thought I was a lesbian for a really long time. But since I started testosterone, I kind of have more of an attraction to men, which apparently is kind of normal for some trans people. I didn't know that. But anyways, not the point. So I am still bisexual no matter who I date. Now, whoever dates me, like let's say that they're a woman, if they are straight, then they're just straight. Like it doesn't mean that they're a lesbian or bisexual or anything. It just means that they're straight because I identify as a man, and so then they're dating a man essentially, right? And then like let's say like I date a guy who is like bi or gay, like he's still bi or gay, you know, it doesn't change the fact of whatever, right? Now like an issue would be like, let's say like I date a girl and I find out that she actually identifies as a lesbian and she's dating me because I am still technically like medically speaking, I have female genitalia, and so that's what she's going off. That's like transphobic and not okay. Just to answer that, like my last girlfriend, she's like, I think she said she was like pansexual, but it doesn't make her pansexual by dating a trans person. What makes her pansexual is because she identifies that way. Understand? I put one packet on one arm and one packet on the other arm, just so it doesn't get like too gross feeling. I have some sensory issues, so. But this is what they look like. It's 1%. I'm supposed to getting like a higher dosage soon, so I'll be taking like 3 of these a day, because 2 of these is 1 dose. So then it'll be 3 of these would be 1 dose. Let's see. Sorry, I just like bumped my table. Can't think of anything else really. Oh, back to like my, do I get misgendered a lot? I do, and also I actually like had to end up reporting someone at my work because they were doing it on purpose. I've had my fair share of people who do not respect me in the real world, and I don't try and take personal offense to it, because it's like, it's whatever. If that's like how you feel about it, okay. But like, it doesn't change the fact that I exist, and that is what I'm doing, you know? Why go out of your way to do that? I don't get it. But I had to report somebody. That was actually another reason I switched pharmacies, is because it was bad. Like, excuse me, the people there were awful to me. And there was this one guy, and I'm not saying like I knew he was gay or anything, but like I'd seen him on Bumble before, and he said he was gay on there, and he like misgendered me and everything. And like, the worst thing about, like, if you don't go to a medical professional who is specifically cares for trans people, you're going to be treated like that. You're going to get purposely misgendered, even though it'll literally say on your chart or in your notes that you're trans and all that jazz. They don't care. They don't care, because if they can get away with it, they will. I saw a video of a girl like sobbing because she had to go to the ER for something, and it was like literally in her chart that she was trans, and she was like on estrogen and stuff, and they kept calling her sir and stuff like that. And she was like, can you stop, because like it's obvious. Like she did not look like a man, and she passed very good. Not that it is it acceptable to, you know, get treated like that, even if you don't pass, but it was just like, and they scolded her for it. And like a big thing that I deal with is so like, you see that, like, that's my name, that's Max right there, right? It's in parentheses because, again, it's not my legal name in the state, but like if I ever go in to pick up my prescription, I say Max, they will pretend that they don't know who I'm talking about, even though it's in parentheses. And you should be able to look me up through that, because I've actually asked people who deal with this, and they're like, no, they should know. So they're kind of shitty for that. And I can't do anything about it because it's the only pharmacy that I could pick up from there that my insurance will take. So it does kind of suck in that aspect. There always going to be somebody who doesn't agree with what you got going on and is going to treat you like shit for it. So it's best to just have the most positive outlook you can, and, you know, be nice to them, because like, what are you gonna get out of being an asshole right back? You know, it just justifies that, them being shitty to you in their own mind. So yeah, I don't know, I can't really think of anything else. But again, if you guys have questions or anything, I will try and answer them. Since I'm still home from having COVID, I haven't been able to be awake for more than like 5 hours at a time. So I'm supposed to go back to work tomorrow, but I don't know if I will, because I literally am not able to stay awake, because I'm probably gonna go to bed right after I upload this. So I hope that you guys somewhat found this video relaxing or entertaining or educational in some way, shape, or form. Sorry if like some things just didn't make sense or timeline wise or whatnot. It's hard because it's like I thought this, but then I thought this, and now it's like this, but I thought this. Like, it's gender identity and sexuality are very hard to pinpoint. So it's hard to kind of explain sometimes, but I don't know. I hope I did it justice. And again, just remember this is my own transition. So what I do is going to be different from somebody else, and what I'm comfortable talking about and letting people know what I've got going on doesn't mean that other people are going to be okay with what they got going on and what they're doing and talking about it, if that makes sense. So I hope that you guys have a good and relaxing evening, night, or day wherever you're at. Just always be mindful and respectful, and thank you for watching.